So many objects. Yes. Thank you so much, Maud and Mint. Yes, and welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Hi.
So, I first came across Hannah's work when we were doing research about smog, which of course has a lot of interconnections with the topic that we're dealing with tonight as well. But back then, I think that was like over a year ago, there was not really a way to intersect it with what we were doing, but now it's really great to have you here. So I just wanted to introduce Hannah by reading her own description of her work from her website, which I really liked. So I'm going to read it to all of you. Hannah comes from somewhere and most likely will go somewhere else. The peak of creativity was reached when eating a bug in her parents' garden. The greatest success of work means that it occurs as nothing to the one, is too intimate to the other, reminds someone of their birthday party, leads someone to translate into the child's mother tongue, builds a base for exchange, and remains as a blurry memory of something that could have been experienced through presence. Often she is not there, but even if she is, it could be that her mind has taken her to another place, a new medium, an unknown circumstance of truth. All right. So I also wanted to read this because it is a little bit, it's really poetic and it's also a little bit cryptic. And I think this part of the program is also going to be a little bit cryptic because all of you have these little envelopes, which again, we're going to ask you not to open yet, but you can hold on to them and touch them. But I'm going to begin with asking you, Hannah, to tell us a little bit more about the project that these envelopes originally kind of linked to and stem from.
Yes, thank you. So the whole thing started, I don't know, I cannot really tell when exactly it started, but the envelopes specifically have to do with work that I made last year when I was on a residency in Tuscany. And it was in February, to be more precise. And it was for me the first time since COVID to travel borders for a project. And I was on residency there for a month, and I had this idea or the question to myself whether or not I will be able to catch clouds. And so I built a structure there. But maybe I'm going to show you the next slide. Yeah. So being there was rather emotional because it made me feel very different to what I have felt before. I mean, everyone felt very different at that time. Anyway, I went there to try out something that I wanted to do for a long time, and then I built a sculpture, which is a cloud catcher. And I had it there for maybe 2 weeks, and I wasn't sure whether or not I would be able to, but it really caught some cloud, or actually in this case fog. So I was able to harvest more or less half a liter, and I put it in little bottles and send it away to people. So here we have an image. So the center point is where I was in Tuscany, and then it went to several locations in Europe, and also one bottle traveled to Mexico City and one to Rio. Yes, and that was, I sent the clouds to people and asked them to drink them, to have them pass through their body. Because I was just interested in how connectivity can work if we share something that we know has been in a place and then travel somewhere else, and someone else can experience it in a way.
Shall we watch the little video?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. first one more slide, because there were some response by people drinking.
Sounds so great. This.
Yeah, I was. I mean, there was a lot of response by people, even though I specifically only asked to free the cloud and not for any, no messages or anything. But it was really, for me, very touching to receive so many responses in so many different ways. And then, Chloe, she's a friend of mine, and also, she's a filmmaker, an artist. And it was really nice to see her respond in her own language to what I had sent her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this participatory aspect is really beautiful, and I think what's also really nice, and linking to some of the conversations that we had before you came here, was also how the movement of these bottles around the world, how it links to these global water cycles that you're interested in.
Yeah.
So can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so, this is a slide that we probably all know from school. We have on our globe, we have the same amount of water always. It just have different states, which is either liquid, solid in shape of ice or vapor. And it keeps on moving, traveling. It's either in the clouds or somewhere in the plants or like wherever. It just has different locations, but it is always the same. And I mean, one thing that I find interesting is that it's about 70% of the surface of the globe is covered in water, but only 3% of this is drinkable. And this amount has been the same, like
The 3%.
the 3%, yeah. So there's this joke that the water that you drink most likely has passed through a dinosaur at some point. And asking people to drink a cloud, it just makes it more real. This whole thing of drinking a cloud, having it pass through your body, and then eventually it's going to become a cloud again. So, yeah. I mean, hold on. To make this a bit more... Oh, sorry.
Oh.
That was on too fast.
It's a bit
Yeah.
finicky. It would be nice to see the sketches.
Yeah. Trying my best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so to visualize my idea of clouds passing through.
I like this water cycle. It's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
No, but it is really true what you said. Like this, yeah, I think all of us have seen some version of that image of how the water cycle works. It's sort of embedded in our brains from school. But I also never thought so deeply about it until like I started thinking about your project. And then, yeah, it's definitely that in this kind of participatory act that you really start to, there's this bodily aspect of it that you also see how you're also connected to these water systems. So you've been here for a week now, almost a week.
Yes, I arrived, almost a week. Yeah.
Maybe you can talk a bit about what you've been up to.
So, yeah, I arrived last week Sunday. And then on Monday, I went to check out some locations. And on Tuesday, I installed another cloud catcher at Hem. This time I was using a different material, but maybe we can do that in a bit. So I chose a site which is close to the river, as you can see on the picture, thinking that there it's more humid than, I mean, I've also been at the site of Maca, and there it was really not as humid as it is at Hem. And I was trying to find a location for this harvester to be installed. This time also because it's been parallel to the river, it has a different shape. The other one was had six sides because I wasn't sure from where the fog would come. And here it's parallel to the water side. And
the material for the...
So this material I used this time, I was very excited about it. Is a material that is actually used for cloud harvesting in arid regions like Peru, for example. This fabric is installed to harvest clouds and give it back to society, people who have less access to water, and then they use it mainly for agricultural purposes. And we have a piece here. It's a 3D mesh, and this one has been so you should just really feel the material. It is a 3-dimensional mesh, which you can see when you touch it from the side. You can also see here on the image that it has these 2 sides and kind of almost like spider webs in between. And yeah, at this point, I would like to thank the company Esidea who supported me with this material.
It's also, I never knew that there would be a material specifically manufactured for a cloud collection.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're working at.
And is it a really common, like, where is this practice more common?
So, yeah, it is for sustainability, basically, and it comes from the idea to make life a bit easier for people in arid regions. But it is also now used in contemporary architecture, for example, to, yeah, there's research trying to find out whether it can be used in cities and how it can improve the livelihood of the area.
Mm-hmm. And then you also did a little side project.
Yeah.
Which is next to Mint.
So there's a tiny catcher there. I took this one to the seaside because I thought if I can catch clouds, I should also be able to catch salt, which I did, but the weather conditions were really rough. So it was only out there for maybe an hour. And if you really want to and lick it carefully, you will taste a bit of salt, but otherwise, yeah, it's...
We're going to bring it up to the bar during the break. I was thinking when Mint was presenting, talking about turbulence being the relationship between low pressure and high pressure, and you and I were also talking about like what is the difference between dew and fog and rain. Maybe you can, because that also in a way has to do also with this kind of plus and minus.
Yeah. So I was also here in Amsterdam. I also thought that morning dew would really be a thing to collect, because I'm lower to the ground, and dew forms where it's basically condensation, because the air is warmer than the object that it collects on. So in the morning, or like when temperatures change, that's when dew forms, and it's kind of the first microcloud that you can find. And then fog is something really visible. I mean, it's in your face basically, 'cause then it's low. It's lower than clouds usually, and then further up you have the different. It goes through all the different areas, like atmospheric areas. And then, that clouds can shape. It has to do with little droplets, combining each other, growing. And that's also how eventually a cloud would start raining. But you need a bit of dust or whatever in it in order to make it rain or snow.
And do you have to get to a certain height with this one that you installed at Hannah? Because when we think about clouds, we always they're much higher than this piece. Yeah. So at Hannah, it was not really an option to collect clouds. Actually, it would have been more for fog and dew. Yeah, for clouds, it would really have to be higher up. Is that your next next project?
Oh yeah, please. Can't wait. Got so many ideas. This will continue, of course, in many ways, but who knows now?
And shall we move to this little...
Yes.
Okay, now is the time.
So now is the time to open your envelopes.
So many nice sounds of this.
Well, the weather has its own mind.
Exactly.
I would say.
There was also some turbulence with this project.
Yeah,
can
totally.
Can we talk about what's inside this
Yes,
bottle?
please. Do you want to ask me a question, or should I?
No, you can continue.
Well, it was bottled at a humidity of 15%.
So, of course, like any art project, we did have good goals in mind, and and you went to a lot of different locations. So,
Yeah.
but in the end, of course, yeah, we all saw how the weather was, and this is what we collected, which
Yeah.
was nothing, but also, but. Yeah, we were emailing with Hannah like, what do we do? And but actually, it's also a really beautiful gesture, and I think it's something that's really present in your work in general. So, how do you feel about this final result?
I think that so far I've been super lucky with weather conditions and situations that worked out. And I thought that it was high time that something wouldn't go according to plan, and that it's only fair enough that the weather had its own mind, basically. I mean, it was clear from beginning on that, like, yeah, I cannot promise for the weather conditions. And I enjoyed very much trying it out and seeing the different locations and also working with the material and like the whole project. And yeah, so in my work, I had it actually already many times that people were like, yeah, but you know, this failed. This project is like, didn't work out. And so actually, no, it's just exactly what it has to be. So there's an unpredictable part in the work.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.